The second thing I did, Liam,
Yeah.
was, and I'm sure you'll have heard of this because you're a film buff.
Yeah.
I went with my dad to go and see They Will Never Grow Old.
The Peter Jackson documentary about World War One, where he recolorized a load of footage.
He didn't just recolorize it; he remastered it all.
Yeah.
It's honestly like it's
Did you
mind blowing.
The one that you went to see, did it have the Q&A with Mark?
Had the
Q&A,
afterwards?
Yeah. I really wanted to go and see it, but I didn't know it was happening until like a week before, and when I tried to book tickets, all of the seats were gone.
Yeah.
I really wanted to go see it though. So, okay, first tell me what the film itself was like. Was it in 3D
itself,
as well, wasn't it?
We didn't see the 3D one. We just saw it normal. But that, okay. I saw it in the credits. I was seeing loads of 3D stuff, and I was like, oh, I didn't realise they'd also made it fucking 3D. That's because honestly, like you see footage of World War One when you're a kid, and it's always that old like jumpy frame, very low quality black and white. So seeing this remastered thing where it's all been colorized and it looks like you're just watching what it would look like. It's great. It makes it so real and also horrifying. Like,
I can imagine.
It's weird because like so much of the film is talking about how because he was saying in the Q&A that part of the thing with World War One is people only talk about the bad part. Like no one ever talks about when the soldiers had fun, which they did. But he talks about he was like everyone's always showing you just the bad stuff, how horrible it all was. So he has all these scenes at the beginning which are like the soldiers just playing effectively having a sports day at one point where they're just playing sports games and they're all having a fucking whale of a time.
Was that like with each other, or was it just like the British soldiers?
No, that's
the
famous British soldiers. There was
famous like World War II story.
Day. No, that was World War One.
Well, what, on Christmas they had a game of football?
Yeah, that's World War One.
Oh, I thought it was two.
No, they came out of the trenches. They didn't have trenches in World War Two, Liam.
Did they not?
Nope. World War One was a trench war.
Okay.
But basically, yeah. So one of the things that you see in the film is all that stuff is with like the British soldiers playing sports games together.
Yeah.
But towards the end, after they've had some battles, they used to do things where they like raided the enemy trenches. Like you'd literally, because you always see that footage of them like going over the top, right, where all the soldiers charge.
Yeah.
They also had these raiding parties where literally like 5 soldiers would come out of their trench, run to the enemy trench, like capture a couple of people, shoot a few, and then run back.
Okay.
Like that was the thing that happened. So they had these German soldiers, and you see them just like at first they're kind of like freaked out. Obviously, they're like, oh, we've been captured by the enemy. But the German and British soldiers, neither side by the end of the war really knew why they were fighting. They were all these really young kids. Like some of these kids were like 14 and had just lied to say they were 18 or whatever. So they're these really young kids who don't know why they're fighting. So the moment they capture someone or get captured, they're just like, I'll help. Like German soldiers would get captured, come over, and then if they were like a medic, they'd start treating everyone, everyone, because they were like, well, none of us want to be here, so let's just help. And like, you see these German soldiers carrying wounded British soldiers after the battle, and it's like, it's honestly, it's really sad because it was such a horrible thing, and it's weird seeing it as it would have looked. That is mind-blowing.
How was the documentary like put together? Like, was there like voiceover that strung all of the scenes together, or
it's all done with interviews with actual people from World War One? So there's a lot of like people talking about their experiences.
Band of Brothers,
kind of, except all of it is that.
Yeah.
But then he's also added. This is one of the bits that fascinated me. I did not know this was a thing you could do. Basically, he restored the footage up to the point where it was good quality black and white footage. Then he hired people that the police employ who are able to lip read from CCTV footage. Yeah. And he got them to lip read the soldiers who were talking. Then he got actual soldiers from now, from the same places those soldiers were from based on what battalion they were. And he got them to come and voice what they were saying. So, that's cool. Like, the first time you get sound in a scene is mind-blowing because you're watching it and, like, suddenly you hear a couple of explosions and you're like, what? And then when they start talking and it's matching how their mouths are moving, you're like, what is happening? This is... I don't understand. Yeah. And it's insane.
It's one of the things that disappointed me about First Man is... Because I love it like a biopic when it like ends with, like, a talking head from someone that was actually involved in it. Yeah. And First Man doesn't have that, and it's one of the things that really disappointed me. So I'm now really like more excited to see his documentary, knowing that they use like a lot of that.
Yeah, it's honestly, I think people should watch it just because it takes World War One, which is something that's so far away from us, and it sort of makes it real for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is a good thing, and it's good because we should remember that kind of stuff and be like, look how horrible this all is. But it's also bad because you're like, oh my god, these poor people.
Yeah, I'm hoping it gets a home release soon because I think it was only shown in cinemas that one day.
Yeah, it's going to be shown on BBC.
Yeah, but I never watch BBC.
Well, but they're not going to sell it, I don't think, because it's going to be a BBC show that's just on TV.
Ugh.
Like, it's being sent to schools for free. Did you hear about that?
I didn't know that, no.
Because so basically, for listeners that don't know, basically the Imperial War Museum, which is a British museum that has a lot of war stuff, they had a lot of like footage, and they asked Peter Jackson to restore some piece that he did.
Yeah. And
he said to them, I think I've done such a good job with this, could you give me access to the rest of it? Because I think we could really make something. So he said there's hundreds and hundreds of hours of footage. They sent him everything. They gave him access to everything. And he was like, it's one of the things that they can't afford to do it all. No one has the money to just invest in doing it all. But he was like, I wish we could.
Yeah.
Because it's important. And it's like, it's just mind-blowing. So it's being given to schools because it's a good educational thing.
Yeah, that's cool.
So like the BBC have funded it, the Imperial War Museum funded it. I think Peter Jackson put in some of his own money behind it.
Yeah.
Probably a lot of his own money, but yeah.
Yeah, because he's
such a cool guy.
He hasn't done many movies lately, and I think it's because he's been so busy working on this project. I think he's also got, I don't know if he produced it or directed it, but a movie coming out towards the end of the year about like the Mortal Engines, something like that.
Oh, which is based on a book that I read as a kid.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of excited for it. I hope he does it really well.
Yeah. I don't know if he's actually involved in that more than just producing.
Oh, okay.
How was the Q&A?
Oh, it was really interesting.
So Mark Conrad is one of my film critics that I'm a big fan of. Like, I've gone to see him just do a talk on, being a film critic. So, how was it for you? Yeah, he's just a producer on Mortal Engines. How was it for you, kind of watching him host a Q&A?
I didn't care. He was just asking the questions.
See, the reason why I ask is because when we went to see BlacKkKlansman, we had a Q&A with Spike Lee afterwards, and the moderator I didn't think was very good.
Okay, yeah. Mark Kermode's a professional critic, like you say, so like he knew what to ask.
Did they do audience questions?
A couple, and it wasn't audience. It was people who had been. There was like a thing going around where you were allowed to basically message in for like a day
that's
before.
Such a better way of doing it, because
they couldn't have done audience questions because the fucking Prince Harry or Prince Charles or Prince William, a bunch of the royals were in the audience. Right, so I think it was very much like the Q&A is a very formal thing.
Yeah.
Let's not be getting twats up to be like, Peter Jackson, you've got a great beard.
Well, this is the thing, because the BlacKkKlansman one, they went to the audience, and there was a woman that just went off on one about like some bullshit that really didn't apply to the film or anything, and the moderator just couldn't get control back off of her. Yeah. And it was just like, it was so disappointing, because you're like, right, I'm here to see Spike Lee talk, and I've just witnessed this woman just waffle on for 5 minutes about bullshit that has nothing to do with anything anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the Q&A was fine, yeah.
Cool.
It was really interesting.
Out of 5?
Probably a 4.
Cool.
Maybe a 4.5.
So this is why I kind of wanted to get like a 4K or a Blu-ray release, because like you said, they did so much.
I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will.
There'll be a lot of stuff they can put on.
You may as well
extras.
watch it on BBC. Yeah, they'll probably release.
I resent paying the TV license so much that I now refuse to watch BBC, because I don't want to justify them forcing me to pay. I know, but I don't want to justify it.
Yeah, but that's stupid, because it doesn't matter if it's justified or not, because you're paying them.
I don't care.
Like that's like protesting Sainsbury's. That's like protesting Sainsbury's by not buying anything from Sainsbury's but giving them £100 every month and being like, here you go.
It's ridiculous that I have to do that. I don't understand why the BBC.
Liam, we were talking about World War One. Now is probably not the time for you to have a rant about the TV license.
Yeah, it is.
Just, this is helpful.
Well, to be fair,
helpful Ellie giving you a little hint in how to be a good human being. We just talked about millions of people dying in World War One. You have to pay for a TV license.
Yeah, which the whole concept of a TV license is about as archaic as World War One.